You're listening to Not the Sermon with Eric and Jamie.
All right, we got a problem.
What?
I've got a beef with you.
Beef with me, son.
I've been waiting.
Claws out.
I've been waiting to talk to you about this.
Okay.
And remember, I love you, and I'm not really mad.
Okay, we'll find out. I am highly sensitive. You do know that.
I know.
So
That's why I keep saying that.
For it.
I keep saying that over and over.
Yeah.
No, you threw me under the bus, and I don't even think you know you did it.
I definitely don't.
Okay, this Sunday, listener, I was preaching on the church at Sardis.
Yeah.
And I was talking about how, the whole thing is wake up and you're sleepwalking. And my big closing for the sermon was something like this. There are too many born-again Christians that are trapped in a religious rut. And it's my moment, right? My big closer.
Yeah.
And what did this guy do? Second service.
Stole your line.
Ending worship. He gets up there and goes, guys, there are too many born-again Christians. I'm like, that's the end of my sermon. You just gave away the big moment.
Yeah,
what do you have to say for yourself?
Might be. Okay, so...
Did you know you did that?
After I did it, I was like, dang, I think he says that. So here's my position. So,
okay. Defend yourself.
When you are stewarding, when you're kind of managing the ministry time
you're doing good.
During worship.
Yeah.
And one of the goals that they don't train you for in Bible college is you have to somehow connect a person's prophetic word that you're hearing for the first time in front of 250 people or 300 people. You have to somehow connect it within 10 seconds after they say it.
So you just steal the final line from the sermon?
Here's the thing. It meant I was listening to your sermon because it was in my brain. Because she was talking about like the monotony of life and how there's more and that kind of thing. And like the first thing that popped in my head was like, people are bored in their faith. And then it was like
bored again Christian.
Natural progression. Right. Yeah, my bad. Do I regret it? No. Because it's.
Am I sorry? No.
I'm not sorry because here's the thing. You got it off in first service.
Yeah.
Second service thinks you stole it from me.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know.
It was a double win for me. I looked great during ministry time, and then they thought that you stole something from me.
And it was so good, such a deep concept that I had to take it from you to end my sermon. I get to second service. I'm going through the sermon. I already, and it's funny, Tiffany, my wife, was on stage. She plays bass. She heard you say it. She looked at me like, no. He just stole it. Yeah. I mean, she knew.
Yacked it, yeah.
And then,
I will say it wasn't intentional. It was like a sort of like I was just, it's train of thought. It's like, what's in my head?
Sure.
I would never intentionally get up.
What's in my hand?
I've never heard that song. What is that song?
In my hand.
What?
Eric.
Did someone just step on a squeaky toy? But yeah, no, it was just, impromptu. And like I said, do I regret it? No.
That's good to know that
would I intentionally rip someone's sermon? Not intentionally,
right?
No. So.
But now that you made the mistake, you're not sorry.
No,
okay,
no. Because I kind of came out smelling really good.
Yeah, you did. Well, so I'm up there preaching the second service sermon.
Yeah,
and I come to that line, and I'm not excited.
Yeah.
I mean, it's no longer a big reveal. Yeah. It's no longer this big moment where everyone goes, "Oh, not born again, bored again." Oh,
yeah.
Because you stole it.
Yeah, my bad, dude. I didn't. I didn't mean any harm by it.
Well, it's okay. I forgive you.
And not to make you, not to justify what I did.
Oh, but
not
go
that
ahead.
I need to justify it. But I mean, I've had God steal my sermons before.
Yes, when like a prophetic word preaches.
It's just like, okay, that prophetic word is my sermon.
Yes.
I think that line is actually in my sermon.
Yeah.
So let's just see how this goes.
Well, it's funny, and I'm giving you a hard time, but I don't care. I think it was funny, but I did go early in my preaching career. I felt very protective of the things that I said, especially if I'd kind of come up with a phrase or something that I thought was unique, or that I just heard directly from the Lord. I was very protective of those, and I felt like they were mine. And the Lord had to correct me and be like, "Look, dog, everything you do, you give a book report on the same book every week.
Yeah.
Like, it's all mine. I wrote it. Like, every song we sing is from, the Psalms, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And so, like, there's no new information. Ecclesiastes, there's nothing new under the sun. And so I had to get over myself early on and be willing to give away
well, look, dude,
ideas.
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
6.
I'm just trying to think. Like, you've got at least 2 regular speakers between me and you.
Yeah.
Right. Then you have our other 2 pastors who are going to speak at least once. Yeah. And then you have 2 more that are going to get it at least once every other year, something like that.
Sure.
So you got like 6, 7 people all trapped in the same theological and cultural bubble.
Yeah.
Who don't swim outside of that bubble often.
Sure.
And so you're going to hear the same phrases and same, like isms, right?
Yeah. Well, I will say it does make me happy. So we also have a series every summer called This Is My Story.
Yeah.
Where people, and these are not pastors, these are not, sometimes not even leaders in the church. They're people who have an amazing testimony of what God's done in their lives, and, then they share it. I will hear them say something that's basically repeated or a processed and repeated version of what we teach here, and it makes me so happy.
It's like a good way. It's formation.
Exactly, and I love it.
Yeah,
but you stole it.
I'll tell, and I did. But not intentionally, subconsciously stole it. I subconsciously stole it. Right. So it's like second degree. Stealing.
It's not first degree stealing.
Second degree plagiarism.
Okay.
Not first degree.
I'll allow it.
First degree is like I planned it.
Right.
I was intentional. Second degree, it happened in the moment. It was like a moment of panic. Right. Like second degree murder is you murder someone in a panic.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was a panic prophecy.
It was a panic. Not a prophecy. It was a panic
preaching.
Pulling together.
Okay.
Right. It's like you hear again. I want to explain to people. You're hearing something for the first time.
Yeah.
And then you have about not even 10 full seconds to process it and make it applicable if it's not completely clear.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I will say there is one saying that I wish would die.
What's that?
And you're not going to like this. The people be crazy.
Oh, yeah.
To me, it's funny and it's true, but like it reminds me. Do you remember the show Arthur on PBS? The aardvark. A lot of my millennial listeners will know this. It's an aardvark animal show. Anyways,
I mean, I know what it is.
There's an episode where everybody goes and sees this movie at like all the kids at school.
Yeah.
Go and see this movie, but Arthur's parents won't let him see it.
Yeah.
And when they come back, they're all quoting the same thing, and it's
me
no.
I think one of our episodes
it's called me no. Yeah. So like when people say like people be crazy.
Right.
That's what I hear that in my head, and I'm like,
well,
pretty soon it's gonna be one of those things that like loses its meaning because people just say it all the time. Like, hey, how was the food? People be crazy.
People be great. Well, yeah, listener, just so you know, so I started a few years ago when we were talking about the fact that you have to forgive people and you have to meet people where they are, not where you wish they were, and that sometimes it's good to just go ahead and admit. Right, that everyone's nuts, everyone's broken, everyone has problems, and then one Sunday, it wasn't planned. I mean, this is not like a planned thing. Yeah. I just said, "Y'all, people be crazy,
people be crazy,"
and it was just funny.
Give us more, people be crazy.
Oh man, I hate that the camera missed that.
Yeah, it can only happen once. You could plagiarize it and do it yourself.
Oh, maybe I could. I could take a page out of your book.
Steal it next segment.
We'll do.
Edit this out. Steal it.
Yeah, I'll do that. That's what we'll do.
Houston. We have a question.
We have a question.
Houston, we have a question. This is a segment where we take our listener questions and answer them live on the podcast, or technically not live. It's live for us. And you guys,
real time.
In real time.
Not in fake time.
Let me, let's do a quick little applause for our sermonauts because you guys have been sending some really good questions. So this week,
and we just opened up our inbox in between segments and saw we have even more.
Yeah, we have even more. And so, hey, if you're listening and we haven't gotten to your question yet, like we're going to get to them. Like we essentially do every one unless there's
unless it's garbage,
unless it sucks.
Yeah.
So, and this one, but before I get into the question, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about some nasty food encounters.
Yes.
And we asked our listeners to share one of their nasty food encounters. And this one comes from a listener named Tyler, who's also got a question for us as well. But he says
it's Tyler's episode today.
Yeah, Tyler's Houston, we have a question. He says this is his nasty food encounter. He says this happened at a local fast food chain. Ordered my meal, got my food and drink, and we ate, and everything was good.
Yeah, it was
like the third day of creation. Went to get a refill, And in the bottom of my large cup that I had just drank every drop of was a huge, juicy fly.
Ooh.
Not one of the little fruit flies. We're talking about one of the fat ones. You see flying around dog poo.
He'd been feasting all day,
Dang,
man.
dude. That was like what do they call that? Like a little water addict, like a tea bag. Like he had a little tea bag in the bottom. However, this is my favorite fast food chain, and I just took the L and didn't make a fuss about it or tell anyone. I can live with the fact that it's a risk worth taking for a lovely number 2 on this particular chain's menu. I'm not going to mention them.
Well, does it say it though?
Yeah, it does.
Let me see. I want to see if I've eaten there.
Oh yeah, you definitely have.
Oh yeah, definitely. Oh gosh.
So, but he's right.
I'm going to think about that.
I would take the L there too because they're usually pretty good. But yeah, getting to the bottom of your cup and seeing a big old juicy fly.
Juicy fly. My dad used to say it's just extra protein.
They call that an Indian ice cube.
Indian ice cube?
Yeah. Would you like any flies with that, sir?
Would you like flies?
Well, cool. So thank you for sharing that with us. That's pretty gross. But you know what, man? I relate because I probably would have done the same thing. But here's
what are you gonna do? I mean,
it's a fly.
Yeah.
I mean, how did it get in there? They didn't come shipped with flies,
right?
You know? But this is his question. This is a good one. This I have to rapid fire this actually. It says, "Enjoy the pod. Couple random debatable conspiracy questions here.
Oh, great.
Wanted to get your guys' take. Feel free to choose your favorites or rapid fire. So, you want to just rapid fire?
Let's do it.
All right. So let's try to keep it to like a minute.
Okay.
Per.
All right.
So, New Earth or Old Earth, Jamie, go. New Earth or Old Earth?
I tend towards what's called the gap theory, which is old Earth, new people.
Yeah, it's like when you have a big gap in your tooth.
Yes, and I like the gaps. But yeah, that's what I tend towards.
Old Earth, new people.
Yeah, so I've been an old. I believed everything at some point.
Yeah,
right.
Same.
Because you study so much, and you can get to where you can defend everything.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I got to that point on the creation story, and so, but I think this place has been around a really, really, really long time.
Yeah.
But I think our creation, the human creation that we're experiencing now, is relatively new.
Yeah. I would say I agree with that too. I think when you're reading Genesis, that's one of the questions it's not trying to answer.
Right.
Like at what point in time? I think when you read it, like even when it comes to reading it, in literal days.
Right.
I think because it was written in days, we're supposed to read it as days.
As days, yeah.
But not as a historical matter, but as a theological matter.
Right.
So, I agree with that.
Let me just explain because I explain. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Gap theory, listener, if you hadn't heard of it, is it's the idea that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Gap. Verse 2, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness hovered on the face of the spirit, hovered over the face of the deep. So the idea is that the Lord created the earth, and a lot of stuff went down. Maybe that's when the dinosaurs happened. Maybe that's when, right? But then there was essentially a recreation of the earth, and that culminated in Adam and Eve and the repopulation of the earth with humans. So.
And then the new atheist planted dinosaur bones to confuse all the Christians.
Is that one of the questions?
No.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, it is. Number 2. Oh, leading into, dinosaurs. So you're saying old earth, new humans. What do you think about dinosaurs?
I tend to, and this kind of flies in the face of old earth, new humans, I tend to think dinosaurs...
So I'm about to contradict myself, but...
I tend to think they lived with humans. I don't, it's crazy. I saw an ad, I think maybe it's on Netflix. They're doing a new nature documentary with Morgan Freeman about dinosaurs. And I turned to my wife and I was like, they're just making all this up.
Yeah, we really don't know.
That we don't know. We have no idea. Yeah. But it was narrating it like they were looking at the real ones and saying, they do this because you have no idea.
Yeah.
You don't know. Anyway, so that's just so weird to me that they would take that kind of liberty.
Yeah.
So dinosaurs, I figure they were created along with creation. I do think that's what Job chapter 40 and 41 and 42 are talking about, Behemoth and Leviathan. I think there's some types of dinosaurs.
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
And I think I heard one guy who was a young Earth creationist. He was like, "You don't have to bring all the dinosaurs on the ark. You just got to bring a small one, a pink one, and a blue one." All right, so maybe, and then maybe they were hunted for food, and then they died out.
Yeah,
right.
That's where when people say that, like they try to bring Noah into this. That's where I lose them. I at my core, I'm an old Earth, new humanity. Yeah. I don't really like defining how. In terms of dinosaurs, I don't think they lived concurrently.
Yeah.
I think it was beginning stages of creation.
Yeah.
I've heard a couple really good theories.
Pre-Adam.
Yeah, pre-Adamic existence. Dinosaurs.
How would you account for like cave drawings of dinosaurs?
Do we have cave drawings of dinosaurs?
Yeah, some. It's not like this huge, smoking gun.
How do we know? That's what I'm saying. How do we know they're dinosaurs? And
they look like dinosaurs.
Yeah, but not like what we're seeing, like skeletal remains.
Yeah.
Right? I'd have to see it. I don't know.
Even the reality of dragons as lore came from somewhere.
Sure, I'm not saying like there wasn't like a total, like there had to be some period, like smaller period, but I don't think there was ever a time where even 50% of the dinosaur genre
I don't
overlapped with humanity.
Were they making music?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think there was that much overlap at all. The best theory I heard is
wait, hold on.
Yeah.
What does the dinosaur genre sound like?
Actually, we don't know. We make that up too.
I know.
Sometimes they roar, sometimes they chirp like a bird. It's weird. But so yeah, dinosaurs. I don't think I'm gonna depart from there. All right, number 3. Did we land on the moon, Jamie?
I have no reason to believe we didn't.
I think no. Who's the astronaut? Armstrong. Neil Armstrong. I think he's a compulsive liar. He owed a gambling debt to the Kennedy administration, and the only way to pay it off was to pull off this ruse. I think who's that? Some director pulled it off, and I think he's buried with Jimmy Hoffa. I think Jimmy Hoffa directed the moon landing.
There's a cute movie, I think that's on Apple TV Plus, about them faking the moon landing.
Yeah,
that was kind of funny, but I don't. So here's the thing. Now I will say I don't tend towards conspiracies at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I could be wrong. I readily admit I could be wrong, but I'm always asking myself, okay, why? Like, what's the payoff?
Well, there was a major payoff
exactly, and that's what I'm saying. That of all the conspiracies,
to bankrupt Russia.
Yes, it was the Cold War, right? It was Russia, and we just happened to magically land there first and plant the flag. So there was, unlike a lot of conspiracies like Flat Earth and stuff like that, where there's no good reason why everyone would be spending so much money to lie. There was a good reason to lie about the moon landing, but there
was not a good reason to keep the lie, because as soon as Russia would have figured out, or China would have figured out that we didn't do it, it would have been in their best interest to say that they're liars.
And can anyone keep a secret?
No, it's that good.
So I just don't.
And here's the thing: I've heard people say like, oh man, how do they even calculate that? It's so many hundreds of thousands of miles away. How do they travel? Have you ever seen someone nail a net in disc golf?
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm serious. Where they throw it the opposite direction, and it somehow goes over the trees, through the branches, and into the net.
Yeah,
that's what you're dealing with the physics of getting to the moon. Yeah. Except imagine you have billions of dollars and some of the brightest minds in human history.
Yeah, math is pretty awesome.
Math is great, and it's pretty precise.
And
so as far as it's impossible. No, it's very possible. If a 28-year-old stoner can sink a hole in one in disc golf, we can get to the moon.
Oh, there
All
you
right,
go.
next one. And this is related. Any extraterrestrial activity or life?
No, I'm not. I'm not one of those that's like, there are no aliens.
That's bold, Jamie.
It would make sense to me that God as a creator would be creative and create other things. We already know he's created other races besides humanity, right? You've got angels and demons. And so, he's a creator. Would it surprise me if he has created life elsewhere in this massive, vast solar system? Not at all. Do I think that we are going to have interaction with one another? No.
Yeah.
No. And so I think most, UFO sightings are either, alcohol or demonic.
I think it's like government testing.
Yeah, I think a lot of that happens too.
Sure. But I would say, so there's the idea of infinite Earth theory, right? And I think it's a scientific view that since the universe is in fact expanding, there has to be, and if we have to believe that space is infinite, then there are infinite planets within proper distance from a heat source that could possibly create the same circumstances that sustain life.
Or God could create a life that doesn't need a heat source.
Yeah.
I mean, he can do whatever he wants to. Like angels and demons. They don't need the sun, right? They're on a completely different spiritual plane.
How do you know that? Have you seen the cave drawings?
Yeah, I've talked to
angels sunbathing?
Yeah, they told me.
Yeah.
They don't need angels sunbathing.
Yeah, you said they don't need heat. The cave drawings prove that they need.
Yeah, but see, demons are in hell, and so they obviously aren't affected.
They obviously need heat.
No, they don't need. They're not affected by it. They aren't burned up.
Are they? I mean, You don't know? Prove it. Have you seen, dude? Have you seen the cave drawings?
Here. Let's summon.
Show me the receipts. Yeah. No, I think it's possible. I think you're right. I don't think we'll ever come into contact.
Right.
I think the laws of physics supersede our societies.
Yeah, sure.
So I think if there is another planet with other creatures, they're limited by the same physics that we're limited by, right?
Maybe.
It's physics.
Yeah.
It's like a universal principle.
Yeah. No, physics are going to exist everywhere we go.
Yeah,
like
the same physics.
Right. I'm just saying they might not be affected by it.
That's impossible.
No, it's not.
Like
it's only impossible in our reality. But again,
we're not talking about separate realities, though. We're talking about the same reality under the same physical principles.
But I'm saying, like, do you believe angels and demons are subject to physics?
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about extraterrestrial life. We're not talking about spiritual life.
Right, but I'm just saying, I'm pointing to the fact that you're looking like you made a good point and you didn't.
You're pointing to a different explanation on a different plane, Jamie. Let's just keep it on the same plane.
Well, then I wouldn't believe necessarily in aliens.
Boromir's
like, I mean, whatever.
I think Boromir was not subject to gravity.
Well, Boromir couldn't be the king.
He couldn't be the king because
of Aragorn.
All right, final one. This is and we're not allowed to use cave drawings, spiritual life, or angels and demons. Okay. Bigfoot.
No.
Bigfoot? No. I'm a firm no on Bigfoot too.
Yeah. No, that would hurt our associate pastor Tim's feelings.
It would.
He loves Bigfoot.
Guys, there is not a half-wit, hairy, ape-like creature.
I've been called all of those things.
That is wandering around and has somehow managed to avoid human contact.
Right.
You know, there is nowhere.
Because if he was smart and civilized, he'd shave, right?
Yeah. Which I've seen some people that look like it may be a Bigfoot that's just adjusted to society.
Yeah.
You know,
again,
a lot of nose hair.
I think there could be alcoholism involved. I think there could be.
So your local drunk is actually a Bigfoot.
No. The people are seeing things. I believe in demons, and I believe that there are demonic encounters, and I think they could be confused, with seeing things.
And a lot of the stuff, it's coming from legend.
Mental illness.
It's coming. Yeah, mental illness for sure. I was stopped by Starbucks this morning, and there was a dude. That was
mentally ill.
Yeah, that was mentally ill probably, and he was talking to himself hard. Like loud and just like right outside the door. And I had compassion but
that's schizophrenia,
in my head, I was like, brother, just don't talk to yourself, man. It's not a good look.
Yeah. It's schizophrenia, man.
Yeah.
That's one of the things they do.
Yeah.
It's sad.
And that's a guy that reports Bigfoot, and we all believe him.
Yeah. Man, that music was the perfect volume level.
It was. I did actually have to go up a little bit because I had turned it down for a sound effect, so I had to do a little Doctor Strange maneuver on it.
Yes.
But we are moving into our next segment. Christian Conspiracies. Christian Conspiracies is a segment where we take head on all of the TikTok garbage that you guys read it like it's the book of John.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, did Jesus really have 7 wives? Was Jesus an astronaut?
Oh, yeah. That one's true.
Did the Catholic Church hide the Hershey chocolate formula?
Yes.
We answer that and more on Not the Sermon.
Speaking of secret formulas, did I ever tell you about how my youngest son set off the alarm for getting too near to the secret formula in the Coca-Cola Museum?
Oh, Lord.
He did. He accidentally bumped the...
I wonder if that's like a gimmick they do.
I don't know, but it did set off a real alarm.
Yeah. The only alarm I've set off recently is the Lunker alarm at Planet Fitness because I was getting mad gains too quickly.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, it was crazy. They called the cops. They
That's
said,
a conspiracy.
Sir, you look too good to be in here.
Excuse me, you are too buff right now, and you're freaking out all the other patrons.
Yeah. All right, so Christian Conspiracies, and this one, this is an interesting one. This one tends to surface around the holidays, specifically around Christmas, when all the 17-year-old atheists are out on the internet trying to disprove the birth of Jesus, which that's definitely what I want to be known for.
Because I have my own faith, Mom.
Yeah, I live to destroy religion.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But
they've been trying for 2,000 years, but you figured it out.
Yeah, you got it, 17-year-old.
Jobless Jeff.
Yeah, jobless Jeff. So this one is the conspiracy of Horus.
Mm-hmm.
And Horus is a part of the Egyptian god panel, whatever. They had the hundreds of gods.
Were you going to say pantheon and then you realized that was Greek?
That was Greek. Yeah. I said panel.
I think pantheon can be applied to all gods now. I think it's like a more general term. And
Horus is the bird god. So if you ever have seen Egyptian hieroglyphs or art or anything like that, you always see like a guy that has a human body, but almost like a falcon looking head on a hawk head.
Yeah. So what does that say about Phoenix? We called him Falcon.
Oh, we missed out on Horus.
I know.
Yeah.
Do you think he was a false god?
Phoenix? No. No, I think he might have been the opposite. A real god. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, Feeny boy, we miss you.
So Horus is this mythical creature within Egyptian religion, sort of like the god of life, god of light, god of wisdom. Yeah. You tend to, there's a couple attributes that tend to take up the main gods of a certain religion, and it's always light, life, wisdom, that kind of stuff. And so that's Horus.
My favorite is the death gods.
The death gods. Oh, yeah. What's the Egyptian? Anubis. Anubis is the god of the underworld in Egyptian.
Hades in Greek mythology. What's the one in Hinduism?
Oh man, I forget.
Shiva.
Shiva. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's like their main god though too.
No, you've got Ganesh, you got Shiva, you got Brahman. That's the one.
Ganesh is my favorite one. The elephant. It's just like a fat, happy god.
Dude, I know, right?
If I were a Hindu, that might be my boy.
That's awesome.
But the short version of this is that the people claim that the story of Horus is basically the same story of Jesus.
They just stole Jesus from Horus when they were in Egypt.
Yeah, so what they're implying is that Christianity copied Egyptian mythology, and this is just because of Israel's proximity to Egypt, they just copied this story, and it's just another rendition of sort of this Messiah myth.
The Jews were like, what would be cool, man, is if we just had our own version of Horus, but without the bird head.
Yeah. The bird head's kind of freaking everybody out, and so let's just make him a carpenter.
Yeah.
A little carpenter
from the Midwest.
So the conspiracy theory is usually something like this. So Horus, they say, was born of a virgin named Isis.
Isis,
whatever. Born on December 25th.
Yeah.
Obviously coinciding with the day we celebrate Christmas. The birth was announced by a star in the east. Horus was visited by 3 kings, had 12 disciples, performed miracles, was killed, buried for 3 days, and resurrected. So they basically think that they are the exact same story with now a different name. And so, Jamie, what are your thoughts on this?
It's all hogwash.
Prove it. They have cave drawings.
Because no, they don't. There is no original source for Horus at all that says that he was born of a virgin.
Yeah.
That says that he died and resurrected. That says any of that. None of it.
So what you're saying is every single correlation is fake.
Yes. Even December 25th, the earliest record they have of anyone saying something like that is only the last 100 years.
Yeah.
So all of the Horus and Jesus similarities were basically created, their internet myth. There are no original sources. If you go back to ancient texts from the Egyptians and you look at their gods and all that kind of stuff, we know how Horus was born. It was Osiris.
Yeah, Osiris.
And Isis. Mm-hmm. And Osiris was chopped up into pieces or something. Yep. Right? And somehow
ISIS put them back together.
And then they
conceived a child.
Copulated.
Yes.
And then that's how he's not born of a virgin.
It's not immaculate. It's not immaculate conception. It's necromantic conception. You like that word?
Dang.
There you
go. All right.
You're so necromantic, Jamie.
I am absolutely not necromantic. Not at all.
So, but that's like the only shadow. It's not even really a shadow. I mean, it wasn't even him that was resurrected. It was like his dad, technically.
Right. And so all of these, and this is the idea of like the iteration. Like there are multiple copies, and each copy it gets a little bit better or specific for each culture. And it's been propagated by like, the new atheists, Sam Harris and all those guys. And man, internet forums and Reddit, and they're just everywhere. Oh yeah, but the problem is there's absolutely zero proof. There's no proof that anyone was like Christ whatsoever. You've got other people like Mithras is another one that they've said that kind of stuff about. And Mithras did have a sort of resurrection.
Sounds like a metal band.
Yeah. Mithras did have a sort of resurrection, but he was resurrected to be the god of the underworld.
Yeah.
Which is not anything like what Jesus, it's so shady, and it's so just hearsay. Yeah. But people, it's crazy. People will say this with confidence, and some Christians who don't know any better, it'll shake their faith.
It'll mess them up. Yeah. Because they see an internet meme. I mean, this is memeology.
Right.
This is not theology. This is, again, young atheists making these false accusations with no historical basis. Right. For instance, like the idea of December 25th, I just have a list of refutations here. There is no evidence that they celebrated anything related to Horus on December 25th. You know why?
Yeah.
Because the Gregorian calendar didn't exist.
Yeah, they didn't even use that calendar.
They follow the stars in the Nile. There was no star. There was no kings that worshipped him. He didn't have 12 disciples. I mean, none of these correlations have any historical evidence.
Right. And I think this goes back to the issue that we have in our modern day internet culture, cognitive dissonance, right? Where you come in contact with something you don't want to hear, and so you're not open to it.
La 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 la.
Exactly. Which that happens in the Bible, by the way, when Stephen's preaching the gospel.
Yeah.
It says they plugged up their ears and screamed.
And then Stephen was like, "I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you."
And so then you've got online disinhibition, which is the idea that that you say
sounds
things.
Like a diagnosis on the show House.
It's when you say things online you would never say in person.
Yeah.
Like you dehumanize someone, they're just a username.
Mm-hmm.
And so you say, angry, mean, hurtful things that if they were sitting across from you, you would never say those things.
Yeah.
You've got the echo chamber, which is where we just keep hearing more and more of what we already believe.
Yeah.
And so we become extreme versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. We see that in politics big time right now. And you see it in religion as well. You just double down on what you believe. And so an atheist who desperately wants to not believe, right, hears these things, repeats these things, and it becomes bigger than the lore itself.
It's like a game of telephone. It's like historical telephone. It's like, okay, so the Egyptians worshipped a god named Horus, and then the internet gets a hold of it and then has like meme evolution.
Right.
Because
he had 12 disciples.
This is a new claim.
Right.
This is not an ancient claim.
Right.
There is no early, I'd have to look, but I don't think there's any claims before the internet era of Horus being related to Jesus.
If so, it's the same problem. There's no source material. That I was reading about Horus, and I believe, and tell me if you read this in your when you looked over it, but there's one accusation that Horus had 12 disciples too. No, he didn't. There's one inscription where the 12 constellations are behind him.
Yeah.
That's it. There's no mention of disciples or anyone betraying him.
That speaks more to the relation of ancient Near Eastern religions and numerology.
Right.
Like all ancient Near Eastern religions, and many religions still have this connection to numbers. Christianity being one of them.
Yeah.
A lot of those numbers mean kind of the same thing. They all kind of evolved in the same place.
Sure.
But the story of Jesus did not evolve from Egyptian hieroglyphs.
Right.
It came from messianic expectation. Second Temple Judaism.
And I will say this: there are truths that are circulated not only in Christianity but in false religions.
Yeah.
Like for instance, you have the idea of sowing and reaping, right? Which is a common theme in the Old and New Testament, the idea of sowing, reaping, whatever you plant will grow, right?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Well, in Wiccan, you have the Wiccan religion, you have the rule of three, which is the same idea. In Hinduism, you have karma, right? A similar idea.
And armpit smell.
But karma, though, happens in your next life. It's not in this life. So we even have common vernacular phrases like what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
Right? Well, all of that is a truth. Like, it's true. Like, what you put into this life, you will get out of this life. Mm-hmm. What you plant, you will reap.
It's universal truth created by Yahweh.
Exactly. And so sometimes religions sniff this out, figure this out, and they'll say things like, even like the golden rule that Jesus teaches is actually an improved version of what's known as the silver rule from other
gold is better than silver.
Or exactly, other ancient teachers, and so it doesn't mean they're iterations of one another. Yeah. It means that there's truth that's universal and is sometimes stumbled upon, no matter who stumbles upon it.
There are universal moral principles.
That's right.
And so any similarities that you see between religions, whether it be Buddhism or Hinduism or Christianity, actually proves the point that there is a creator.
That's right.
Because we all acknowledge that there are certain moral obligations to ourselves and others that are all the same.
That's right.
Where did that come from?
That's right.
We didn't make it up. We came from different regions, different religions.
Hey, did you know that Ford trucks have lug nuts on their wheels?
Yeah.
And also, dude, you're not going to believe this. Whoa. Chevy trucks have lug nuts on their wheels.
Did you know that Fiat stands for fix it again, Tony?
You know what that means? That means Chevys were evolved from Ford.
Yeah. Whoa. They have a common ancestor.
Yeah. When in reality, lug nuts are how we keep the wheels on.
Yeah, it's just because an engineer figured out somewhere,
right,
we need to have lug nuts.
But it doesn't mean one came from the other.
Yeah.
So anyway, that is Horus.
Yes.
And I'm going to do a Phoenix call just for good times, old times' sake. You ready? That was a weak smack.
I know, because I hit my wrist.
You had your phone in your hand.
Yeah.
Now there's a limp-wristed smack.
It was.
Yeah. Well,
you can call me anything you want, but don't call me that.
Do better, bro.
I'm sorry. All right, so on this one, and we have this conversation a lot because this is something I've noticed about you.
Okay, here it comes.
You are, I would say, one of your hobbies.
Okay,
is understanding and studying personality types.
Okay, that's fair.
Since since 2017, since I've been on staff here, every conversation that I've had, about like maybe a difficult conversation with someone or a relational issue.
Yeah.
Within the first minute, you're going to give me their Enneagram, their disc, their Mariah Carey personality test.
That's Michael Jackson.
That's Michael Jackson. But no, you're really into this, and so you're like a student of human personality. Is that fair?
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
And the reason I do it is because learning personalities and learning how to sort people's personalities and kind of have an educated guess on what makes them tick is really helpful when I'm trying to communicate to them.
Yeah.
So especially if there's conflict, if there's something we need to really talk about, I'm like, you know what? I want to understand what matters to them and why it matters.
Yeah.
So that I can speak their language, so to speak.
And that's really helpful, too. And
is that why you make fun of me?
No, I make fun of you because it's like every conversation, all roads lead to personality types, and you're like, as soon as you get it, and I'm like, okay, but they're still being a jerk.
Yeah,
No, there is. But you're good at that, and so but that leads
being a jerk.
No, you're good at like reading personality types. So, and it's something I've had to learn. I've had to stop, and think about who I'm dealing with before I address the situation. Has been helpful. So, but with that, we talk about it usually in terms of dealing with people,
right? But
what about with dealing with pastors?
Oh yeah.
And so, is there how do personality types affect spiritual leaders?
Sure.
And are there some that work better? Are there some that are not as great? Or is it more just a matter of how you self-regulate?
That's a great question. I wouldn't say like one's better than the other. They're just going to be different, right? So the one that I use the most is DISC, D-I-S-C.
Yeah.
There was years ago, someone came up with animals, so lion, otter, retriever, beaver. And so those animals lizard. No, that's you. You're the lizard brain. And so those personalities, there are 4, and most people are a blend of at least 2.
Yeah.
That's the one. As a matter of fact, when people go through our kind of entry-level VFCU class, we do
it.
A personality test, and not only for them, but also for us. So really quickly, let me go over just real quick, and then I'll talk about the pastors. So DISC, we'll talk about that one. The D personality is dominant and decisive. They can be, if they're unhealthy, they can be very demanding. D personalities, often called lions, are like, let's get it done now. Yeah. Right now. So in a leadership role, especially in a pastoral role, they're often very good at leading a bunch of people.
Strong, decisive leader.
Yeah. I mean, they know where they're going and they want to get there. What's the con to that pro?
Yeah.
Is that sometimes, they're abrasive, right? And as one pastor famously said, there's a trail of bodies underneath the bus.
Yeah. Get on the bus or get under the bus.
Right. And so D personalities are great at leadership, not always great with people. Yeah. Right. And so that's going to come through in a pastor as well. The next one is I, and I is an influencer. Yeah. They're the ones who love people. They like to be seen. They like to be heard. They are energetic, and people, they can really get a crowd going, right? And so I personalities, obviously that's going to be great for a pastor, especially on Sunday morning, right? Yeah. Because the pastor can command the crowd, tell a story, and everyone's listening.
Very relational.
Yeah. But the problem with eyes is that they struggle with authenticity. Yeah. They struggle with confrontation, right? They struggle, and this is the otter. The otter just wants to play, right? And so the eye, they like to have fun. This is, if you listen to Enneagram, this is more like the Enneagram 7 is going to have, and 3 as well, is going to have otter parts. And so,
otter parts are going to have like little hand fins.
Yeah. It makes me hungry for lunch.
Webbed toes.
I'd like some fried otter parts.
Yes.
And so anyway,
we had a staff member that wanted to be paid in fish. That was weird.
That's hilarious. So obviously there are some pros and cons, right, for a pastor in that. By the way, I'm a I dominant.
Yeah, for sure.
And so I've had to learn how to not ignore it so it goes away, but actually confront and deal with stuff. Yeah. The next one is S, or the golden retriever. They're steady, right? They are dependable. They are people. I mean, they love people. And my gosh, for this is great for the shepherding aspect. Yeah. These people have huge hearts. They love people. They really want to pour into people. The problem is they don't have boundaries sometimes. So the pastor that's a dominant S personality, they're going to get the phone call at 1 a.m.
and they're going to answer it.
They're going to answer it, and they're going to go out there and, how can I help you? Yeah. And it's like, they just don't understand boundaries. And that's going to be, the great thing is they're great. They love people, but the bad thing is they don't know when to quit. Yeah. And they will get devastated by the ministry. Cause I mean, ministry can be devastating. Yeah. People just all of a sudden are gone and all of a sudden turn on you.
So I would see that that's a really codependent type personality if you're not careful.
The unhealthy version is. Yeah. Yes. And then lastly is the C personality, which is also known as the beaver, who's meticulous in building, the dam and stuff like that. And so the C personality is cautious, calculating. They want to know about the details. And so this is going to be great for a teacher, right? So like someone who loves getting into the deep things of God, someone who, a C teacher who's a pastor, you're going to hear Greek, dog.
Yeah.
You're going to hear Hebrew.
Yeah.
And they're going to have, at some point in their pastoral career, they're going to do a meticulous thing about the tabernacle.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard anyone talk about the tabernacle?
I've been around the tabernacle, guys.
And it's like, okay, so the incense, and then you've got the gold rings.
I pulled the tabernacle in youth ministry one time.
Really?
I did. They loved it though.
I've never taught on the tabernacle.
Dude, it's good. You should do it.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
That's that. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. All right. Moving on.
No, for real. So the great thing about a C personality is how meticulous they are.
Yeah.
And you're going to get good doctrine, right? And they're going to maybe implement programs that completely help people.
Probably not big picture people.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is C pastors rarely grow their church beyond themselves.
Yeah.
They tend to be micromanagers, right? They tend to have their fingers in everything.
Yeah.
They can't let go. They can't delegate. The D personality is wonderful at delegating.
Yeah.
Right? They'll just say, hey, do this, do it by this date, see you when it's done.
Yeah.
C personality can't leave it alone.
Yeah.
And so because of that, sometimes people feel overwhelmed under a C's leadership.
Yeah.
They feel like you can never make them happy. And because of that, it's just people like, I just can't, I can't meet the expectations of an unhealthy C, so I'm out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the bottom line of personalities and stuff. And so if you're a pastor that's listening, hey, you've got a great personality, right? I mean, God has given you stuff to help people and shepherd people and teach people and lead people, but know your shadow.
Yeah.
Know your blind spots.
Yeah. And I think that's the important part. And that's where, sometimes where I struggle with personality types, because you have a tendency as the otter, like when someone's being just a jerk and you're like, oh, that's just how they are,
Sure.
oh, they're just, and then me and you and Tiffany told me this one time, because I struggle, I've never truly been able to pin down my type. I feel like I fluctuate a lot. But for a long time, I was told and I tested as an IC, which is a rare personality type.
And they are actually opposing personalities. Even.
Yeah. But you guys said something recently that kind of opened the door. I think you said it. You said, I think you're a DC posing as an IC.
Yeah.
And when I kind of dove into those aspects of it, I'm like, that makes a whole lot more sense. My IC is my evolution. It's my mask. It's how I deal with the D part of my personality.
Right.
Is trying to be more relatable.
Right.
But I am much more of like, I want it done. I want it done now by this date, and I'm meticulous.
Yes.
But I throw on the I to try to soften it a little bit.
And you do love people.
Yeah.
Right. And there actually is. There is an IDC personality.
Yeah.
And
I don't care.
So there is one that's known as with all three. And you are interesting in that you blend typically opposite. So
trauma.
One last thing. So like D and C personalities are task oriented.
Yeah.
While I and S personalities are people oriented.
Yeah.
So my default is IS.
Yeah.
People. But I've had to learn, because I've always been thrown into leadership roles, how to lead.
Yeah.
Right. And so now I'll test more as an ID, even though my reality is an IS.
Yeah.
And so, it's helpful. I encourage you guys, y'all can go online. There are free disc personality profiles. They don't cost anything. And look, if you're sitting under a pastor with one of these strong personalities, D, IS, or C, love them for who they are.
Yeah.
Recognize they are going to have blind spots. There's going to be area. No one's perfect.
Look, Jamie, we're not mad at you, dude.
I really could go for an IC right now. Hey, Coke or cherry?
All right, otter. No. Actually, I think it's a seal.
So we've been missing Alex this episode.
Yeah.
I would say Alex sends his regards, but guys, Alex doesn't have any regards.
No regards. Unless we tell him he doesn't have regards. And then he'll say, I have regards.
Right.
And then we'll say, yeah, you do. And he's like, no, I don't. I was lying. So, miss you, buddy.
Miss you, dude.
It's been a fun episode. It's conspiracy heavy this time.
It was.
I like it. But hey, we love hearing from all of our sermonites.
Do you think someone made us do that? Do you think this idea was planted in our heads by like some secret Illuminati group that just wanted us to talk about this all day? And then we finally succumbed to it. We did an entire episode about this?
I've seen the cave drawings.
Haven't we all?
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening to
Not the Sermon.
Thanks for listening. This podcast is a production of Victory Fellowship Church in Thomasville, Georgia. Eric and Jamie can be reached at emailing notthesermon@gmail.com.
Father to the fatherless, defender of the little kids, gracious and compassionate, wasn't it?